Welcome back. My next guest is one of the most accomplished journalists in the UK, the woman whose world exclusive revealing how Meghan reduced Kate to tears prior to the royal wedding marked the beginning of the end for the Fab Four and sparked a public riposte from the Duchess of Woke to Oprah Winfrey. As associate editor of the Daily Telegraph, she's also a formidable presence in Westminster. No cabinet minister can afford to get on the wrong side of her, and she speaks truth to power like nobody else.
What specifically and exactly are you going to do to bring bills down? And I'm not talking about tax cuts in 2 years' time. I'm talking about immediate relief and help for families. Now, you are proposing a sort of reboot of furlough, but for energy bills. And how much is it going to cost? And isn't that in turn going to be inflationary? You're running a business in this country and you're looking at Rishi Sunak as Chancellor and you're saying, hang on a minute, he's put up my national insurance contribution, so I'm doubly taxed. Hang on a minute, he's putting up corporation tax. What incentive do I have to run a small business in this country?
Very good point. And now, as she prepares to become the face of weekend politics here on GBNews, I'm delighted to welcome to the studio Camilla Tominey. And here's some news. Host of the Camilla Tominey Show, launching Sunday the 8th of January and airing from 9:30am till 11am. So, Camilla, welcome to the GBNews family.
I'm glad to see I look so prescient in that hustings, ribbing Rishi Sunak about coming out with socialist policies economically, and it's proved to be true, I think.
Well, yeah, at the time, we all thought he was never going to be Prime Minister.
Exactly so. So there you have it, yes. Liz had a good outing in that hustings. Yes, so a new punchy politics show, which I think is what we need, Dan. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't want this sort of staid, boring, it's always the same old questions, you know, the hosts are in it for gotcha moments and it can be rather biased in the wrong direction. So what we're trying to do is have a politics show with some personality, really, that people can engage with, that they can participate in. I think so often, actually, broadcasters leave the audience out completely, don't even realise who they are half the time. This is the People's Channel, so we should be channeling that whole thing and just hoping to get big-name guests and keep people entertained from 9:30 to 11 on Sundays.
Well, look, I love that because you're going for it. I mean, that's head-to-head with the BBC and Sly News. You're going for them.
Sly News, you're so funny. Yes, we are going to go head-to-head. To be fair, we'll give people a little bit of a lie-in. They're going to be watching before me and watching after me because I think Portillo is going to come on afterwards. So, look, there's a full gamut of entertainment and informed news on a Sunday morning on GB News. But I think what we want to do is shake it up a bit. That's what this channel's all about. It's about giving people an alternative. It's about giving people the chance to participate. It's about giving people the chance to watch a politics show where they aren't trying to throw stuff at the telly because they're getting irritated by the direction of travel of some of the questions. I actually think that broadcasting in recent times have been too much about the presenter and too much about, I'm here to land a blow because I want to be the next Jeremy Paxman. And actually, we've got a cost of living crisis on, we've got migration out of control, we've got Tory members and voters completely disillusioned. We've got people who don't feel that Brexit's been fulfilled. So when we're going to be grilling these ministers, I think we need to be asking them those kind of questions.
Exactly.
Having them explain themselves.
Because that aforementioned broadcast, which I won't name again, earlier tonight had an interview with the Chancellor, High Tax Hunt, I call him now, Jeremy, and they were trying to do a gotcha on him for him to apologise for the Liz Truss budget. And I just thought, that's irrelevant now.
No. I would like to say to Jeremy Hunt, look, why has this become so left-leaning? Have you been taken hostage by the Treasury? Why is it that if you are running a small or medium-sized business in this country, you feel completely scuppered? You know, and actually, how much is this all going to cost? And isn't it a huge political gamble to put off some of these spending cuts until 2025? Because I know they're doing it because they want to saddle Labour, who, by the way, not a very good vote of confidence in themselves. They want to saddle Labour with this idea that they're going to take power at a time of crisis and cuts. But at the same time, what does it say about conservatism? I think people watching this show and beyond are looking at the Conservatives and saying, I just don't know what you stand for anymore.
Well, we feel politically homeless.
Of course.
Feel totally politically homeless. I mean, how does it work for you, Camilla? Because, of course, you've got your day job at the Daily Telegraph where you're one of their star columnists and you do often hold the politicians and the Tory politicians' feet to the fire. But at the same time, you have these relationships with them. You want them on the show. How do you balance that criticism of them, which at times can be strident, while also needing to have these relationships?
Well, I think we always need to put the viewer at the heart of everything we're asking. I mean, there's no point in having somebody on and just being rude to them, and that's the approach of some other channels. And almost like the opening question is a disguised version of saying, why are you so rubbish? We don't need that. We just need to elicit answers for the people who are watching, for the people of Britain, right? With regard to my day job, yeah, I mean, I'm doing a full-time job on The Telegraph, but that means that I'm up close and personal with these people all the time, spend most of my week in Westminster, also covering the Royals, which is going to be a big story.
Well, we have to talk about
particularly next year, yes.
We have to talk about the Royals because both of us do have this interesting double life, don't we? And especially when Harry and Meghan were in the UK, part of the royal family, it exploded really into the biggest story of the world. You broke the fact that these two were even dating.
Yes.
At the time, no one in this country had heard of Meghan Markle, genuinely, until I picked up your story, which at the time was on the front page of the Sunday Express, before you moved to the Telegraph. I was literally like, who is this
Well,
woman?
I hadn't heard of her until I heard her name, and then I Googled her, and I think I found the image of her from Deal or No Deal that she's now denounced. And I was like, my God, my instant reaction is, goodness me, Prince Harry's punching above his weight. You know, it was the idea that she was this glamorous American. And so, yeah, that front page, I think October 2016 it must have been, then kind of exploded around the world, and now we're here. But the biggest story of the next year is the coronation, but of course closely followed, or maybe even superseded, by Spare, Prince Harry's book. The book and the documentary to come before Christmas, we think. So
let's just go back to that time when they were in the royal family. You were the person who broke this highly contested, very controversial story.
Well, only contested by one person,
by one
to be fair.
side, yep, claiming that Meghan had made Kate cry during the dress fitting, right? It was the kids' dress fitting before the wedding.
There was a problem with the bridesmaid dresses, I think.
Now, this became such a bone of contention in terms of Meghan's relationship with the royal family that in her Oprah Winfrey interview, she revealed that she had had a huge bust-up because she wanted to go public and deny your story.
Yeah.
Now, you have always stood by it.
Yes.
It has since been confirmed by numerous people that Kate did feel that she was made to cry by Meghan. But how did you feel with that story exploding into such a big moment, I guess,
I know,
the relationship between Meghan and the royal family?
Well, I mean, it was obviously an interesting story. To be fair, it was a line in a quite nuanced feature about how both couples were getting on, and it wasn't a one-sided piece saying, oh, Meghan's done everything wrong and the Cambridges, as they were known at the time, have done everything right. It was just talking about friction between these two couples, which obviously proved to be quite prescient. I was then watching the Oprah interview, and in the middle of the night, our time, to write it out for the Telegraph, thinking initially when she'd said about the Archbishop of Canterbury marrying them 3 days early, oh, that's a good line, you know, take a note of that. I didn't know that my story would be at the centre of this controversy. But, yeah, of course I stand by it, because...
So Meghan did make Kate cry, because, of course, what Meghan says is actually Kate made her cry, and Kate apologised later for doing that. But Prince William, we know, is furious with that suggestion.
Yes. Look, I wasn't physically there to see any apology or Meghan's own tears. I think there was reports suggesting that Kate had turned up with a bunch of flowers and a door had been slammed. But, of course, I stand by my story. I wouldn't have written it if it wasn't true. Also, I found it interesting, you know, the story had run for, I think it had been around for 22 months. I've worked with the royals and gone on royal tours with Prince Harry since 2005.
Do you like him?
Yes, I do. I always used to get on really well with him.
So what's happened?
Well, you tell me, Dan, I don't know.
What? Because he seems to have a visceral hatred now of the media.
He's always had a visceral hatred of the media. Look, he used to have good days and bad days on tours. Sometimes you would do a job with him and he'd be like, Camilla, come, you know, get closer. You need to listen to this. You need to hear this. Get your notebook out. And then at other times it would be like, you know, I don't know why any of you are here. Go to the back of the plane type thing. So, it's a shame
Meghan?
what's happened.
Do you like
we never
her?
got introduced to Meghan, because when Kate came onto the scene, when they got engaged, we were all invited to, I think it was St James's Palace, to meet her on the day of the engagement. And I remember meeting her, and she showed me the ring. I was like, my goodness. She was like, it was William's mother's, so it's very special. I was like, yeah, know something, Sherlock. But we never really got introduced to Meghan.
No.
Maybe that was part of the breakdown of the relationship between the media and actually Harry and Meghan. But there was this sense to which he always had a bit of a bee in his bonnet about playing second fiddle. You know as well as I do that people have blamed Meghan solely for Megxit. And the truth of the matter is that he was uncomfortable in his role and he was often raging against the machine. And he was often saying, you know, you keep on telling me no, why don't you just say yes? And I always say what happened was Meghan came along and gave this rocket fuel, but it was there in the first place.
Totally. I'm actually never one of these people that always blames Meghan solely. I think Harry has been equally behind every
decision. And he's a grown-up. I mean, it's his family that he's disenfranchised from.
Absolutely, but I think she has played on certain vulnerabilities,
maybe, yes.
Shall we say. But look, Camilla Tominey, thank you so much. Your debut here on GBNews. So what date? What date does it start?
8th of January, Sunday the 8th of January, tune in from 9:30.
9:30 till 11 a.m. on GBNews. Well, it's going to be a big moment for us as a channel, so it's great to have you here. Thank you so much.